This is a Minecraft city that I've been planning for the past 8 months. However, I have a major problem. I don't know how to make Japanese interiors. So, in this video, I'm going to show you how I learned to build a modern Japanese interior, as well as how I designed this building behind me, so that I can actually have a hope of finishing the city, and so that you can hopefully learn something along the way. To set the stage, this is the city of Koyoshi, located in the Seto Inland Sea just west of Osaka. I am so sorry about the pronunciations. The building that we're going to be working on is this one right here. It is a low-rise, mixed-use residential building, meaning that while there are residents living in the upper floors, the bottom floor is reserved for a shop, restaurant, or office. These mixed-use buildings are seen a lot around Japan, as they make their cities a lot more walkable, as well as making buildings easier to repurpose. So let's start actually designing this though. I picked the first floor of this building to be a small bookstore, requiring 3 main sections to be designed. The first section is the public commercial space, holding the register, shelving, and reading area. I made a small register in the front right next to the entrance and exit for security, with the reading area all the way in the back to make it feel more cozy and private. The second section is a receiving dock for deliveries to restock the store, which also acts as the back of house. One thing that's important to plan for when designing a commercial building is how it can be restocked. If it's on a major road, that usually means it will need a loading dock in an alleyway or on a smaller street behind or next to the main road. Since loading docks aren't the prettiest, they are generally hidden away. However, in Japan, the receiving docks are mostly situated where delivery trucks and vans can access them quickly without impeding traffic, regardless of if they can be seen or not. So in this case, there was a small street right next to the building, so I just placed a dock there. Now on top of this being a receiving dock, I also had to have a space for storage, as well as a rest area for workers. I didn't have too much room, but by cramming a small couch for employees, I was able to make it work. And finally, the third section that I built is the exterior access to the apartments above. And please, if you're ever building a mixed-use residential building, have the residential access on the exterior of the building. This ensures that when the business on the bottom floor is closed, residents can still enter and exit the building. The only time the staircase entrance would be in the interior is if it was already planned that the business and the apartment above was owned by a single family or person. Now let's start working on the apartments. The first thing I had to plan for was where each space would be. With this video, the top of the video is actually south, so the directions are flipped, meaning that the windows are west facing and the wall in the back is east facing. Normally, when designing an apartment, it's best to have the bedrooms on the east side. This is because the sun rises in the east, bringing light into the room in the morning and making it easier to wake up. It's also better this way, as in the evening, it's a lot harder to sleep when light is beaming in from the west. So while there aren't any east-facing windows in this apartment, as there will be a building behind it, the bedrooms will be placed on the east side to avoid the evening light. This is also better as the west-facing windows are right next to the train tracks. So by placing the bedrooms on the east, it will reduce the amount of noise at night. This also means that the main space will be placed on the west. I placed the kitchen next to the windows, as this will bring in heat into the space from the morning light, as well as give a nice view while cooking. Finally, the family room was placed in the center. This means that no harsh light will be hitting the space, especially the TV, and it will make the space more private compared to the kitchen. Alright, now that we're done planning, let's get back to actually building this. For this building, I wanted to fit a 2-bedroom and 1-bathroom apartment per floor. However, I was struggling with how much space the walls actually took up, but due to this being a Japanese style, thin walls are actually very commonly used, meaning instead of using full blocks, I'm able to get away with just vertical trapdoors. This does create an issue though. As you can see, while one side of the wall can have blocks flush against it, the other side is forced to have a gap of 1 block. So while there is more room to move around, the actual furniture is just as limited as full block walls. And while it is harder to build furniture in, it did save me from a really tiny bathroom and closet. This is the final design I landed on for the 2nd floor apartment. Unfortunately, with the exterior design, the first floor had to have the same ceiling and floor block, which for obvious reasons I wouldn't recommend. However, for the first floors above, there were 2 blocks in between each floor, allowing me to have a different floor and ceiling texture. In the end, I was barely able to fit 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. However, the main space is quite comfortable. Now, moving up to the floors above, there are a few differences. First of all, these floors don't have a balcony, causing this somewhat awkward hallway space on the bottom right. There is also a new window in the kitchen, meaning the overhead cabinets of the floor below weren't going to work. The first thing I did was copy the interior up and then start making changes. With the new window on the top right, I pushed the desk a block to the left to give space for the kitchen cabinets to be below the new window. And now that the floor could be changed, I used wool blocks on the floor instead of placing carpet like the floor below. I also expanded the carpet to go to the main space, as I could place it underneath the cushions and furniture. I then filled the awkward hallway with a small plant and little cabinet which could be used for storage, a shrine, a little plant corner, or whatever the tenants want when they move in. Finally, there's the roof. It's accessed from the main staircase and opens up to basically nothing. There's a small green roof on the west side and a few air vents on the east side. The surface entrance for electricity connects to the side of the building, which connects to the switchboard under the stairs. Talking about under the stairs, this is where the mechanical and electrical room is. This service room holds the electrical switchboard and service equipment, the meter bank, and all the other stuff you probably don't care about. It also has an emergency exit here. Now, unfortunately, there wasn't enough room for a water heater for the entire building here, so each apartment's closet does need to have a water heater in them. The roof then holds the rest of the equipment needed, which are heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, aka HVAC or HVAC, however you want to say it. Now, looking at this building structurally, there isn't really much to talk about. The stairs act as a shear wall, and the main structural support for the building are just joists spanning north to south and a very small beam spanning east to west, which connects to the shear wall, which just picks up the joists and beams and brings them down to the columns, which through footings spreads the load into the soil below. And that is how I designed this mixed-use apartment building. I will say these interiors aren't much different from the ones I've made previously. I still designed the interior according to the sun, meaning the layouts of the apartments are pretty much the same. I actually quite like building with thinner walls, as it forces me to think a little differently with how I place furniture. For the exterior, it's mainly designed around lateral strength due to the high rate of earthquakes, which creates this really interesting style. And the advertisements are placed on this building as it's in direct view of the train. That's actually why these streets I've been building have so much advertisements. Anyways, I hope you learned something new from this video, and if you have any advice or feedback to help me build more realistically in this style, please let me know, as I'm still very new to this. But as always, I hope you have an amazing day, and goodbye.